Good afternoon. My name is Joseph Lloyd and I source cars for people on a professional basis. Although most of the cars I source are between £1,000 and £5,000, very often I've been asked to show something a little bit cheaper on the channel, and so I came up with No Budget Reviews, the series where we look at cars that you can buy in good condition with an MOT for under £1,000 and you can enjoy driving. We don't film this in an expensive manner, we don't use separate microphones, we don't use dual head tripods, we don't even use a DSLR, but we do have a lot of fun. It's very strange, viewers, but sometimes I get to review award-winning cars, and this is an award-winning car. Exactly 2 weeks ago, it actually won an award at Festively on Exceptional 2022. And there it is. It's the Retro Repmobile Award. Should have unlocked that door, shouldn't I, before I try to open it? But there it is. We'll have a look at that sort of later. But this is a 1991 Nissan Primera P10 2-litre GS Saloon with an automatic gearbox. These were made in a plant at Sunderland, which isn't too far from here actually. We're in northeast England today. And it's from the collection of Mr. Chris James, who has had many cars on the channel before. We seem to have a sort of regular visit every year or so where we go and see what he has. But the car's virtually immaculate. There are one or two little marks on it, but you know, it's over 30 years old, and being this condition for a Primera, which you know, isn't known for being the most rust resistant cars of cars, it's pretty good. Original rear number plate, original sticker there, it came from North Wales. I'm not going to try to pronounce the Welsh on there, I'll leave that for someone else to do. The wheel trims are actually the right ones for this car. If you go through the GSX, you get alloy wheels, or the EZX, of course, the sporty one. But if we look inside, we can see we've actually got minicab spec things in here, because this is a beaded seat cover, which would have been in sort of Bluebirds and Primeras and Standards and things like that. Being an early car, we've got some little eccentric touches, such as the heating and ventilation controls, which were replaced later on for sort of more up-to-date ones, but it's very sort of late 80s Japanese. We've got no airbag in this car, or I don't think we've got ABS. That came later. And maybe they sorted out this rather unusual arrangement for the electric windows. That's the driver's one. And all the rest of them are down here. There's a lockout switch. It's very similar actually to my Rover 45, which has the same sort of system on it. These two switches here would have been for heated seats, but there is one of my favourite things in here, which I remember from when we filmed the P10 Primera in 2019. The neatest tape storage solution known to man. Look at this. Look how smooth this is. The only thing is, because this is an automatic, that's going to get in your way if you're trying to switch the tapes over when you're actually parked. Video camera sound effects. Wow. No air conditioning, unfortunately. You can see there's a button there for it, but we don't have it because we don't have a top of the range car. We do, however, have more dials than were in the 1.6 LSX Primera that we filmed on Two Jacket Reviews in May 2019. That belonged to Mr. Coleman, Rubbish Mechanic. We've actually got a rev counter in here, which is great because we've got the old Sr20 engine in here, and it sounds absolutely fantastic. Electric mirrors as well, which is nice. I don't think we've got front fog lamps, so we might do. I'll have to look in a second. But not too many blank switches here, and my headlighting's pretty good in here too. Manual sunroof. Might open that. Do you have to pull the cover back as well? Oh no, that's the tilt one. So if we go this way, does that mean we can open? Yes. There we are, viewers. Manual sunroof action. Yes, please. Leave it there for a second. Some courtesy lights here for the driver and passenger, little map lights. We'll see if the secret mission documents go in. Oh, we're not going to go in there. Oh, no, no, viewers. Instead, we've got some jelly babies. We'll have to eat those instead of referring to secret mission documents today. Just see, we've got a digital clock here, because the clock would be on lower spec cars where that rev counter actually is. So we'll have to have other solutions to know what time it is. Conventional position for the wiper and indicator stalks, unlike a lot of other Nissans that came just before this. Just generally a more sort of European friendly interior. Not the nicest of plastics, but actually that's a bit squishy, which isn't too bad. Generally this is pretty comfortable, even without this bigger seat cover. Yes, I'm very impressed so far. Let's have a look in the back, shall we? Right, we need to take a look at this award, viewers. Oh, it's got some weight to it too. Firstly, Exceptional Repmobile 2022, like one of the old Motorola phones that my mother had when she got her first one in 1992. About the same era as this car. I'm sure many of you had something like that as well. And the OK Nissan sticker, brilliant. Let's climb in here. Gosh, no seat back pockets. It's unusual. A little bit more room in here than a Rover 600, which did compete with this car for a few years from 93 to 96. Electric rear windows do feel very decadent. The windy ones would be about here, but we don't have to do windy today. And is that lumbar support adjustment as well, viewers? And if I just change hands here, get a rear armrest. That's very nice. One thing I would say is these headrests are a little bit on the low side. That's probably not going to help too much in terms of whiplash if there's an accident. So just be careful when you drive, I suppose. Seatbelt height adjustment, that's very good. And the headline is not sagging. Wonderful. Yes, that's a thing that happens on these apparently. Certainly the one that we tested 3 years ago was like that. That's all very nice, viewers. It's very, very kind of contemporary ambience. And I can see why Ford, when they were looking for a car to benchmark the Mondeo against, benchmarked it against the P10 Primera. There is an internal release of the boot, but today we're going to use the key. There we go. Yeah, more Festively Unexceptional goodness. And advert there, there's some information about the car. Sunburst Red, 128 horsepower SR20. Look forward to some SR20 action, viewers. Ooh, look at that. Got some parts in there and a full-size spare and all kinds of exciting things. If we go in here, the jack is just there. That's nice, viewers. There we go. You could get these as an estate as well, the W10 they were called. They actually weren't based exactly on this car. They were built in Japan and based on a car called the Nissan Avenir, which was related to this, but they actually kept that in production until 1998, rather than the saloons and hatchbacks which finished in Sunderland in 1996 to make way for the P11. Which we have had on my channel before, actually. Again, an SR20 engine with an automatic gearbox, which is interesting. Right, let's just close this. It's an interesting sort of hinge mechanism, that. Right, I think we better take a look at said SR20 engine. There we go, viewers. A little monster in here. Chain driven, so no need to worry about the cam belt, although I have heard of chain snapping in these engines, but there's nothing much you can do about that really. If it happens, it happens. This hasn't happened so far, so that's all fine. But these engines do generally have quite a long life. They can do sort of 200,000 miles plus if you look after them. So yeah, you know, nothing too untoward. Engine turned a different direction from something like Rover 600. The gearbox is on this side. It's supposed to be easy to sort of find things. It's very, very nice under here. It's absolutely perfect. There's no rust. It's very clean, and it looks just absolutely great. I'm very, very privileged to be able to actually film a car like this, which I asked Chris about probably last year when he bought it, to be honest. I've been waiting for a while, and today's my lucky day. Trim levels available in one of these were very confusing. Bottom of the range was the L model, which before 1992 had no power steering. This is probably one to avoid if you don't like arm twirling. Then there was the LS, the LSX, which is like the one that we drove last time. The GS and then the GSX were the top of the range cars when the car was launched, and then the import of the Nissan changed and it altered. The sporty one was the EZX at the start. That changed to the EGT, and then we had the LX that came in, as well as the SLX. The SRI came in later, the GSI and the SE. They're also precision and equation special editions. So the one you sort of want to look at for the changes were the Series 2s were from about 1994, and then the Series 3 was even sort of later. And they have things as went on, like airbags and ABS and things like that, that these early cars didn't get. I think the heated ventilation controls are different as well in the later ones. Lloyd Vehicle Consulting stickers, t-shirts and mugs are available by clicking the link to the Google form in the video description below. Well viewers, back behind the wheel of a P10 Primera for the first time in over 3 years. And am I enjoying myself? Why yes viewers, I am. That's no surprise really. So there really were only 2 engines that we could talk about available in this country. First one was the good old GS16 engine. It's a fantastic engine. I've driven that in a couple of cars now, most recently the Y10 Nissan Sunny Estate back at the end of last year, and that generated first of all 95 horsepower with a catalytic converter, which came in around 1992, and fuel injection on some of the later cars as well. Just definitely around 94 it got that. I think some of the carb and cat before that generated a little bit more of a fuel injection, 102, before that 95 horsepower, but fantastic free revving engine. This is the Sr20 engine, a 2 litre, which generated at the start either 121 or 128 horsepower. There seems to be some difference about that. The research I sent said 121, Chris said 128. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Inclined to believe Chris about that, to be honest. Then we have the upper 2 litre engine, which was used in the EZX and EGT models. That was also an Sr20, but just with more power and multi-point fuel injection all the way through. That generated around 150 horsepower, which was pretty good. But to be honest, this feels very lively. The GS16 engine Primeras at 1.6s, they feel pretty good, but this feels even better. We've got 4-speed auto with overdrive, I think, and it feels very effortless. There's no sort of problem with driving this. It's very, very easy. I think I prefer the driving position on the Rover 600, to be honest, to this. It's a little bit more comfortable. This is pretty good as well. Steering is very, very nice. Very, very precise. Whereas one of those cars that doesn't look like a great deal. It's a bit like a Triumph Acclaim in that way. They don't look like they're going to be the most exciting drive, but actually they drive really, really well. And this is no exception. I'm not really, you know, going for maximum performance today, because that's not really what this channel's tend to be about, but it is good. I do have to tell you though, viewers, that there were some some diesels available, but as usual, due to controversial government legislation and all kinds of other reasons, we don't talk about diesels on this channel. What we do talk about is just the pleasant way this car goes down the road. Just go around this corner here. The steering's not overtly heavy, it's not the most feelsome I've ever used, but in comparison with a lot of modern cars, it feels very, very alive. Certainly, there's a very good balance of ride and handling in this car, which wasn't perhaps present in some of the earlier Nissan models, and I've driven a number of them. Some of them owned by Chris, Stanzas and also Laurels and Sunnies and all kinds of other things I've driven. And this is just a much more modern experience, much easier experience. Very, very pleasant indeed. Brakes are good, no ABS, but we've still got fairly powerful brakes in this car. Overall, it's just a really nice car to drive. It's very easy, and the visibility is good. It feels a much more modern car than it is. It feels far more modern than 1991. And I think that's why Ford was so keen to benchmark the Mondeo against this when it was launched in early 1993. We'll have to actually drive a Mondeo of this era to see if it's actually any better, because I've actually never driven one. I've driven a Mark III, but not one of the early ones. Just see how it copes over this speed bump here. Yeah, it's very composed. It's very, very good sort of chassis engineering to get a car to this level. It was also called the Infiniti G20. I think actually, first of all, only sold in Canada. I could be wrong about that. And they did sell these also in Japan. But the European market was a sort of major new one for them after the success of the Bluebird. And this is a very, very different car from the Bluebird. I think I prefer this, to be honest, to a Bluebird. But that Rover 600 that I just drove as well, that Chris also owns, maybe I prefer that. I don't know. Anyway, thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching this episode of No Budget Reviews. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video and leave a comment below. It all very much helps out. And we'll see you again soon for more inexpensive motoring.